The rain wasn't cleansing. It was a voyeur. It slicked the asphalt of the Oak Haven Apartments parking lot into a bruised mirror, reflecting the frantic kaleidoscope of red and blue that pulsed from the police cruisers crammed nose to tail. Each flash painted the slumped figure by the dumpster in garish, stuttering relief. A young woman, impossibly still, sprawled on her side. Black jeans, a black sweater, dark hair plastered to a pale cheek like wet seaweed. She looked like she'd dressed for a funeral and ended up as the guest of honor. Detective Miller, a man whose face had settled permanently into the grooves of weary cynicism, hunched his shoulders against the drizzle. His breath fogged the air as he surveyed the chaotic perimeter. Uniforms held back a thin, murmuring crowd huddled under umbrellas at the edge of the lot. Neighbors peered from behind rain-streaked windows, faces pale smudges against the warm, yellow squares of their lives. The air crackled with tension, radio static, and the low thrum of dread. Too clean, Miller thought, his eyes scanning the girl Lena Petrov, according to the frantic boyfriend currently being consoled or contained in a squad car. Too clean for a dumpster alley. No visible trash clinging to her dark clothes, no obvious signs of a struggle here. She looked placed. He flicked his gaze upwards to the second floor. Apartment 2B. The door hung open, spilling harsh white light into the wet gloom. Inside, forensics techs moved like ghosts in their plastic shrouds, their flash guns punctuating the darkness within. That's where the real story was written. That's where Lena Petrov had stopped breathing. 1 hour earlier, apartment 2B. The argument wasn't new. It was a familiar beast, coiled in the comfortable squalor of their shared apartment. Takeout containers stacked by the sink, a perpetually overflowing laundry basket, the faint, metallic scent of old radiator heat mingling with cheap sandalwood incense. Mark Thorne paced, a caged animal vibrating with suppressed rage. Lena stood rigid by the window, her back to him, staring out at the indifferent rain washing over the parking lot below. You just don't get it? Do you, Lena? Mark's voice was a low growl, stripped of the charming lilt he used in public. It's always about you. Your schedule, your deadlines, your fucking feelings. Lena didn't turn. Her reflection in the dark glass was pale, strained. It's about common decency, Mark. About showing up when you say you will. About not disappearing for hours without a word. Her voice was tight, controlled, but a tremor ran through it. The tremor of fear or exhaustion. Maybe both. Decency. He barked a harsh laugh. You want decency? How about you stop snooping through my phone? Huh? Think I didn't notice? Her reflection flinched. I wasn't snooping. The screen lit up when a notification came through. It was a name I didn't recognize. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Sarah? Mark stopped pacing. The air thickened, charged. He moved towards her, not with his usual predatory swagger, but with a terrifying stillness. Sarah, he repeated, the name hanging like a threat. That's none of your goddamn business, Lena. None of your business. He was close now, close enough for her to smell the stale beer on his breath, the sharp tang of his anger. She finally turned, her eyes wide, dark pools reflecting the dim light from the kitchenette. Who is she, Mark? Something snapped. The careful control he maintained like a second skin shredded. His hand shot out, not to hit her face, but to grab the front of her black sweater, bunching the fabric in his fist, yanking her forward. You stupid bitch! He hissed, spittle landing on her cheek. You just couldn't leave it alone. Could you? Couldn't just be happy? Fear, pure and primal, flooded Lena's eyes. She tried to pull back, her hands coming up to push against his chest. Mark, let go. You're hurting me. Hurting you. He shook her violently. Her head snapped back. You want to see hurt? After everything I've done for you? After putting up with your nagging, your suspicion, your pathetic little life? The shove was sudden, brutal. Lena stumbled backwards, her hip catching the sharp corner of the cheap particle board coffee table. A gasp tore from her throat, more shock than pain. She scrambled to regain her footing, panic setting in. This was different. Worse, it had crossed a line. Mark saw the terror in her eyes. It didn't calm him. It fueled him. A dark, possessive fury surged, obliterating reason. He lunged, not to restrain, but to dominate, to silence. His hands closed around her throat. The struggle was horrifyingly silent, punctuated only by ragged gasps. The scrape of shoes on worn linoleum, the sickening thud of a body hitting the floor. Lena fought with the desperate strength of a cornered animal, nails raking his face, a knee connecting with his thigh. Her eyes, wide and terrified, locked onto his, pleading, unbelieving. He saw the moment the fight began to leave her, the moment the spark flickered and dimmed beneath his crushing grip. Her body went limp beneath him. Silence. Deafening, absolute silence, broken only by Mark's own ragged panting and the relentless drumming of the rain on the window. He stared down at Lena's face, pale and slack, a trickle of blood oozing from her lip where her teeth had cut it. The fury evaporated, replaced by a cold, hollow shock. Then a wave of icy clarity. No, 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 no. This couldn't be. He hadn't meant. He let go, scrambling backwards on his hands and knees, while rising in his throat. He stared at his hands, the hands that had squeezed the life out of her. They felt alien, monstrous. Panic, cold and sharp, sliced through the shock. Prison. Life sentence. Over. The words echoed in the sudden void. He couldn't go down for this. He wouldn't. His eyes darted around the small apartment, the overflowing laundry basket, the laptop open on the cluttered desk. Lena's purse dumped carelessly on the armchair. A plan, desperate and brutal, coalesced in his mind. A robbery. It had to look like a robbery gone wrong. Someone broke in. Lena surprised them. They fought. She fled. They caught her outside. He moved with frantic, methodical speed born of pure adrenaline. First, Lena. He couldn't leave her here. He grabbed her under the arms, her body terrifyingly limp, head lolling. Dragging her dead weight was harder than he imagined. He grunted, sweat mixing with the rain on his face despite the chill. He maneuvered her awkwardly through the door, down the concrete stairs slick with rain, towards the dumpster enclosure in the far corner of the lot. He dumped her unceremoniously onto the wet asphalt, arranging her limbs into a pose that vaguely suggested collapse. He hesitated, then roughly pulled her sweater down over her exposed midriff. Victim, not lover. Back upstairs. Apartment 2B. Now the scene. He overturned the coffee table, sending magazines and an empty coffee mug crashing. He yanked open drawers in the small TV stand, spilling DVDs and remote controls onto the floor. He grabbed Lena's purse, rifling through it quickly, pulling out her wallet. He took the cash, about $60, and scattered the credit cards and receipts onto the floor near the door. He tossed the empty wallet aside. He spotted her laptop on the desk. Perfect. He unplugged it, wrapped the cord roughly, and shoved it under his arm. He scanned the room. Too neat. He needed chaos. He kicked over the laundry basket, spilling dirty clothes onto the floor. He ripped the cushions off the small sofa. He grabbed a framed photo of him and Lena laughing at the beach, a cruel irony, and smashed it against the edge of the desk. Glass shattered. His eyes fell on the necklace Lena always wore, a delicate silver chain with a small, teardrop-shaped opal, a gift from her grandmother. He'd never liked it. He yanked it hard, the chain snapping. He pocketed it. A trophy? Proof? He paused, listening. The rain, the distant hum of traffic. No sirens. Not yet. He had minutes, maybe seconds. He needed an exit. He couldn't be seen leaving. The fire escape? Too visible. The front door was the only way. He had to risk it. He took a deep, shuddering breath, trying to force his expression into something resembling shock and grief. He rehearsed the lines in his head. Heard a noise. Came home. Found the door open. Saw someone running. Lena on the floor. Chased them. Lost them in the rain. Came back. She was gone. Found her outside. He grabbed his jacket, shrugged it on, hiding the laptop tucked awkwardly against his side. One last look at the staged chaos. Would it fool them? It had to. He turned off the main light, plunging the apartment into gloom, illuminated only by the gray daylight filtering through the rain-streaked windows. He stepped out into the hallway, pulling the door almost shut behind him but leaving it slightly ajar, an invitation for an intruder. He took the stairs down 2 at a time, heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He burst out into the parking lot, the rain instantly soaking his hair and jacket. He ran, not towards Lena's body, but towards the street, shouting, his voice raw and panicked. "Help! Someone! Help! She's hurt! My girlfriend! Someone call the police!" He skidded to a stop near the entrance to the lot, doubling over, gasping for breath, playing the distraught, frantic boyfriend perfectly. He pointed a shaking hand towards the dumpster enclosure, unseen from the street. "Over there. Please, help her." And so the stage was set. The rain continued its indifferent vigil. The body lay cooling. The killer played his part. The sirens began to wail in the distance, drawn to the carefully orchestrated tragedy. Present, the arrival. The sleek, unmarked black sedan cut through the rain like a shark through dark water, pulling into the chaotic glow of the Oakhaven lot. The engine died, leaving the rhythmic thump of the wipers slicing arcs across the windshield before they too fell still. Special Agent Elias Vance killed the headlights. For a long moment he didn't move. He absorbed the scene through the rain-blurred glass. The frantic energy of the uniforms, the huddled forensics team near the body, the stark silhouette of the apartment building. His face, etched with the deep lines of a man who'd seen too many scenes like this, was impassive. Only the slight tightening of his jaw beneath the graying stubble betrayed any tension. His eyes, a faded denim blue that had witnessed decades of human darkness, scanned methodically the position of the body, the angles of the police lights, the sight lines from the surrounding windows. He saw the staged quality Miller had sensed, the unnatural stillness of the victim against the frantic backdrop. "Ready!" His voice was a low rumble, gravel scraped over concrete. In the passenger seat, Special Agent Anya Sharma swallowed hard, the sound audible in the sudden quiet of the car. Her knuckles were white where she gripped the strap of her new FBI-issue go-bag. This was her first field assignment since Quantico, her first major crime scene. The rain, the lights, the sheer, oppressive weight of violent death pressed in on her. She'd studied the manuals, aced the simulations, but nothing prepared her for the visceral reality, the metallic tang of blood cutting through the damp air even inside the car, the low murmur of professional voices discussing the unspeakable, the profound, unnatural stillness of the covered shape near the dumpster. She forced her breathing to slow, drawing on the rigorous discipline drilled into her. "Observe, analyze, detach." "Ready," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She reached for the door handle. Vance's hand shot out, not touching her, but stopping her motion. "Sharma." She froze, looking at him. "See the guy in the back of the squad car?" He nodded almost imperceptibly towards a figure hunched in the rear seat of a patrol car, head in hands. "Boyfriend. Name's Mark Thorne. Found the body. Says he interrupted a robbery." Anya followed his gaze, taking in the man's posture, the slumped shoulders, the visible tremor even from this distance. Classic shock? Or performance? "Detective Miller," Vance continued, nodding towards the weary figure near the body, "thinks it stinks. Too clean. Body moved." He paused, his gaze sharpening as it landed back on her. "Your job? Observe everything. Not just the scene, the people, the rain patterns, the smell, the silence. What feels wrong? What feels staged? Don't assume the boyfriend's grief is genuine just because he's crying. Don't assume the robbery story is true just because a wallet's missing. This," he gestured towards the flashing lights, the covered body, the open apartment door, "is a story someone's telling us. Our job is to read between the lines." "Understood." His words were a cold splash of reality. This wasn't just about collecting evidence. It was about dissecting a narrative, finding the cracks in the lie. "Understood, sir." Anya said, the gravity settling on her shoulders like a physical weight. They stepped out into the rain. Vance moved with a deliberate, unhurried stride that commanded space, his worn leather jacket shedding water. Anya followed, trying to mirror his calm, her senses immediately assaulted. The rain was colder than it looked. The smell was overwhelming, wet asphalt, diesel fumes from the idling cruisers, the cloying sweetness of spilled garbage from the dumpster, and beneath it all, the faint, coppery whisper of blood. The strobing lights painted everything in jarring, disjointed flashes, freezing moments of grim activity. A tech bagging a shard of glass, a uniform taking notes, the coroner's assistant adjusting a sheet. Detective Miller spotted them and lumbered over, his raincoat dark with moisture. Vance. About time. His voice was weary. Sharma, right? Welcome to Oakhaven. Not exactly the scenic tour. Miller, Vance acknowledged, shaking the offered hand briefly. His eyes were already scanning beyond the detective, taking in the scene anew. What VE we got? Lena Petrov, 26, worked as a graphic designer. Lived here with the boyfriend, Mark Thorne. Miller jerked a thumb towards the squad car. He says he came home around 8:45 p.m., found the apartment door ajar, place ransacked. Says he saw a figure running towards the back lot. Gave chase, lost them in the rain. Came back, found Lena gone. Looked outside, found her here. He gestured towards the covered body. Pronounced dead at the scene. Strangulation, prelim suggests. Defensive wounds on her hands. Anya noted the details, her mind racing. Strangulation, personal, ransacked apartment, robbery gone wrong. Thorne's story. Vance asked, his gaze now fixed on the open apartment door on the second floor. Consistent so far. Distraught, shaking, cried a lot. Miller's tone was flat, non-committal. But, he lowered his voice slightly. Place inside? Yeah, drawers pulled out, stuff knocked over. But it feels off, like someone kicked things over in a hurry, not tore the place apart looking for valuables. Laptops missing, wallet emptied, cash gone. But her jewelry box on the dresser, untouched, had some decent pieces in it. Anya filed that away. Untouched jewelry box. Robber takes laptop and cash. Ignores potentially more valuable jewelry. Boyfriend have an alibi? Vance asked, his eyes still on the apartment. Says he was at O'Malley's bar downtown. Alone. Claims he left around 8:30. We're checking cameras, but you know how that goes. Place is a dive. Footage might be useless. Vance finally looked at Miller. Show us the apartment. Miller led the way up the slick concrete stairs. Anya followed, acutely aware of the eyes on them. The neighbors peering through barely parted curtains. The uniforms watching the FBI arrive. The weight of expectation was heavy. Apartment 2B was a study in dissonance. The harsh glare of the forensic lights exposed the staged chaos in brutal detail. The overturned coffee table. The spilled DVDs. The clothes strewn from the kicked-over laundry basket. The smashed photo frame, shards of glass glittering around a picture of Lena and Mark, smiling on a sunny beach, a grotesque counterpoint to the current horror. Anya stood just inside the doorway, her trained eyes sweeping the room. Vance moved past her, silent and observant, a predator assessing territory. He didn't touch anything, just walked slowly, his gaze lingering on details. Observe everything, Anya reminded herself. She noted the pattern of the overturned items, concentrated near the living area, less disturbed near the bedroom door. She saw the scuff mark on the linoleum near the entrance, partially obscured by a fallen cushion. She smelled the lingering incense, undercut now by the sterile tang of fingerprint powder. And she saw the small, dark droplets on the beige carpet near the center of the room. Barely visible unless you knew to look. Blood? Too dark for fresh. Maybe diluted? Her eyes were drawn to the desk. The laptop was gone, but the power cord lay coiled neatly beside the empty space. Robber unplugs the laptop, wraps the cord neatly, but kicks over a laundry basket? The inconsistency pricked at her. Vance stopped near the center of the room, where the carpet fibers looked slightly compressed. He crouched down, not touching, just looking. His eyes traced an invisible path towards the door. Then he looked up at Anya. "Sharma, what do you see?" She stepped further in, careful to avoid the marked evidence areas. "Staged, like Detective Miller said. The disturbance is localized. The jewelry box untouched is suspicious for a robbery. The laptop cord is coiled neatly, suggesting the person who took it wasn't frantic." She pointed to the dark spots on the carpet. "Possible blood transfer? Looks diluted. Maybe cleaned hastily?" Vance gave a barely perceptible nod. "Good." He pointed to the scuff mark near the door. "Drag mark? From something heavy?" He stood, his gaze sweeping the room again, landing on the broken photo frame. Rage. Personal. But staged as impersonal. He moved towards the small kitchenette. The sink held dirty dishes. A half-full coffee mug lay on its side near the overturned table. He opened the fridge, mostly empty, a few takeout containers. Nothing screamed violence. Then he stopped at the small trash can beside the counter. He didn't touch it, just peered in. Anya moved closer. Amongst the crumpled papers and food wrappers, something glinted dully. A small silver chain, broken. And beside it, a tiny, teardrop-shaped opal, cracked. Anya's breath hitched. A necklace. Broken. Thrown away? Her necklace. Likely, Vance murmured. He straightened. Robber takes cash and laptop, but stops to break her necklace and throw it in the trash? Doesn't fit. He turned to Miller, who had been watching them. "The victim have any visible jewelry when found?" Miller shook his head. "None reported. We can double-check the body." Vance's expression was grim. "Do that." He looked back at Anya. "The boyfriend. Time to meet our narrator." They descended the stairs back into the rain. The patrol car containing Mark Thorne was now partially obscured by a larger forensics van. As they approached, Anya saw him clearly for the first time. He was leaning his head against the window, eyes closed. His face was pale, streaked with what could be tears or rain. He looked exhausted, shattered. His knuckles, resting on his knee, were scraped raw. Vance opened the rear door of the squad car. The interior light clicked on, harsh against Mark's face. He flinched, blinking open bloodshot eyes. "Mr. Thorne." Vance's voice was neutral, professional, devoid of accusation. "Special Agents Vance and Sharma, FBI. We need to ask you some questions." Mark stared up at them, his eyes wide, swimming with apparent grief and shock. He ran a trembling hand over his face. "FBI? Why FBI?" "Standard procedure in certain circumstances, sir," Anya said, her voice calm, trying to project reassurance. "We just want to understand what happened. Can you tell us, in your own words, what occurred tonight?" Mark took a shaky breath, his gaze darting between them. I came home, around 8:45. The door, it was open, just hanging open." His voice cracked. "I knew something was wrong. I called out for Lena. Nothing. I went in, and the place, God, it was wrecked. Stuff everywhere. Knocked over." He shuddered, a full-body tremor. I saw someone. A guy. Hood up. He was near the door. He saw me and bolted. Ran out the door, down the stairs. I chased him. I yelled, 'Stop!' But he was fast. He disappeared around the back, towards the dumpsters. It was raining so hard. He trailed off, swallowing convulsively. I lost him. Came back. Lena wasn't inside. I panicked. I ran outside, calling her name. And then, I saw her." His voice dissolved into ragged sobs. He buried his face in his hands, shoulders shaking. "By the dumpster. Just lying there. Not moving. I tried to wake her up." The sobs intensified, raw and wrenching. Anya watched him, her empathy warring with her training. He looked devastated. The scraped knuckles could be from the chase, falling on the wet pavement. His story matched the scene Miller described. Vance, however, remained impassive. He waited until Mark's sobs subsided into hiccuping breaths. "This man you saw?" Vance asked, his tone deceptively soft. "Can you describe him?" Mark lifted his head, wiping his nose with the back of his hand. It was dark, rainy. He had a dark hoodie, pulled up, dark pants. That's all I saw. He was average height, maybe, just a shape running. Build? Race? Anything distinctive? Mark shook his head miserably. No, just dark clothes, moving fast. Vance nodded slowly. "And you were at O'Malley's bar before this? Alone?" "Yeah," Mark sniffed. "Just having a beer. Needed to clear my head after we argued earlier." He looked down at his hands. "Stupid fight. About nothing. If I hadn't left. If I'd been here." "Arguing about what?" Vance asked casually. Mark flinched almost imperceptibly. "Just stupid stuff. Money. Stress. Work. The usual." He waved a dismissive, trembling hand. "Nothing important. If only I'd known." Fresh tears welled. Anya noticed it. The slight hesitation. The dismissal. Nothing important. After a fight that drove him to leave, she filed it away. Vance seemed to accept the answer. "We'll need a formal statement, Mr. Thorne, and we'll need to verify your time at O'Malley's. Is there anyone who might have seen you there? Bartender? Other patrons?" "I don't know," Mark said, his voice thick with tears. "It was crowded. I was at the bar. I paid cash. I just wanted to be alone." Vance exchanged a brief glance with Anya. "Cash. No easy electronic trail." "Understood. We'll have an officer take you to the station. Get you warmed up. Get that statement." He started to close the door. "Wait!" Mark's hand shot out, stopping the door. His eyes, wide and desperate, locked onto Vance's. "Find him, please. Find the bastard who did this to Lena." The raw pain in his voice was palpable. "We intend to, Mr. Thorne," Vance said, his gaze steady, unreadable. He closed the door firmly. As they stepped back into the rain, away from the car, Anya let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "He seems genuinely destroyed." Vance didn't look at her. He lit a cigarette, cupping his hand against the drizzle. The flare of the match illuminated the hard planes of his face for an instant. "Grief is a powerful actor, Sharma." He took a long drag, exhaling smoke that curled and vanished in the wet air. "His knuckles." He said he fell chasing the intruder. "Maybe." Vance's gaze was fixed on the covered body near the dumpster, now being carefully loaded onto a gurney. "Or maybe he hit something hard. Like teeth." He flicked ash. "The necklace. In the trash. Broken. Why break it? Why not take it? Robbery narrative doesn't cover that." He started walking towards the forensic team near where the body had lain. And the scene upstairs. The blood spots. Diluted. Someone tried to clean. Hastily. He stopped, looking down at the wet asphalt where Lena Petrov had been found. The rain was already washing away any trace, but the harsh lights revealed a faint, irregular smudge pattern on the concrete. Drag marks? She was moved. After she was dead. Why stage the body outside if the struggle happened inside? Anya felt the pieces shifting, not fitting together. The boyfriend's story, the staged apartment, the moved body, the broken necklace discarded. A robbery gone wrong felt less and less plausible. "Sir." A young forensic tech approached Vance cautiously, holding a clear evidence bag. Inside was a small, cheap-looking smartphone. "We found this tucked partially under the dumpster. Might have fallen out during a struggle, or been discarded." Vance took the bag, peering at the phone. A generic model. No case. "Run the number. See who it belongs to. Dust it fast." He handed it back. As the tech hurried away, Vance looked at Anya. The flashing lights reflected in his weary eyes. "Simple homicide, Sharma?" He shook his head, a grim, humorless twist to his lips. "Nothing's simple, especially in the suburbs, especially when people lie." He dropped his cigarette butt, grinding it under his heel on the wet asphalt. Let's go talk to the neighbors. See if anyone heard the robbery or the argument before he left for the bar. He strode towards the nearest apartment building entrance, his silhouette sharp against the pulsing emergency lights. Anya followed, the rain chilling her skin but a different kind of cold settling in her bones. The quiet American suburb held its secrets close, whispering lies under the drumming rain. The killer might be sitting in the back of a police car, playing the grieving boyfriend. And they had to prove it before the carefully constructed story became the only truth that remained. The hunt, she realized with a thrill of dread mixed with determination, had just begun. The faceless girl in the rain deserved more than a staged ending. She deserved the truth, no matter how dark the path to find it.